Sonic Lost World. A game you either like, hate, or feel completely indifferent to. Definitely the most mixed Sonic game from the 2010s. And that's not just nowadays. This game was a problem even when it came out all the way back in 2013. After the success that was Sonic Generations, we thought they would take what worked for that game and improve upon it. But we got something that was just not that for some reason. And that's Sonic Team for you. Experiment with everything, see what sticks and what doesn't, and for the most part, do it just once. And never revisit the idea ever again. I've lost count how many games could have used one more shot to get it right, but oh well. Before I start discussing this game, I feel like I should talk about a version that is frowned upon. And honestly, I don't like it either. And I'm of course talking about the 3DS version of Sonic Lost World. God, this game frustrates me. It starts off pretty strong. Windy Hill Zone is so fun. It meets the requirements for what good level design is for a Sonic game. A strong first impression and gaslighted me into thinking it would be more consistent than the console version. Then we reach the second world and the level design takes a huge nosedive. This game, no joke, might have the worst level design in handheld Sonic history. Yes, worse than Sonic Advance 3. The levels get longer, the controls aren't much better, and don't even get me started on the special stages. Easily the worst special stages in Sonic history. Worse than Sonic Heroes, worse than Sonic 1, worse than Sonic Advance. You may be thinking that I'm exaggerating, but you will never know how bad they are until you play them. You have to move your entire body just to control Sonic, and it's so awkward. I look like an idiot trying to get those Chaos Emeralds. It was not worth it. Thank you very much. I hate this game. The worst part is that it's functional and works fine, but because the level design is so ass, I straight up give up. I'd rather get curb stomped in the middle of a road full of dog turd than play this stupid game. Sonic Forces is better than the 3DS version of Sonic Lost World. Sorry about that. How about we talk about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Space Adventure Story?
Drop the critters, Eggman!
God, I hate that. I hate that delivery so much. Sonic, Tails, and Eggman are doing their usual shtick, following each other. Eggman drops a capsule, and somehow that's harsh for Tails, as if that guy did not destroy the freaking moon! Come on now, Tails! Eggman shoots the tornado with a mini laser gun, and now they are falling. In the distance, they find the lost hex. And so, our new adventure starts. Suddenly, Amy and Knuckles. Man, were the 2010s rough being a Knuckles fan. Sonic and Tails are off to save the animals. We get introduced to the Sonic characters of all time. The Deadly Sex. Their designs are not good. They look like if Mario characters were on a budget. They look like scrap classic Final Fantasy enemies. They look like they will be in a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode. They look like Sonic finally confronts Eggman and the Deadly Sex.
They are the Deadly Six, and they are your worst enemies.
Yeah, about that, Sonic and Sass exchange some pretty corny and quite frankly bad dialogue, making Attack of the Clones look like a masterpiece. Anyway, Sonic goes off to fight the crackhead. Just like Colors, Tails and Sonic exchange some dumb dialogue and go to our next destination, the Desert World. Eggman is shown to have a shell that can control the Deadly Sex. Gee, I wonder if Eggman will lose that. Eggman sends Queso to fight off against Sonic in the Desert World. Eggman also made this giant machine that sucks off the life and energy of the Lost Hex. I think that's the Lost Hex. Minecraft trees, can you really blame me? I'm confused here. Eggman doesn't want to destroy the planet, but the evil Bowser clone sure does. I wonder if he'll betray him.
One word of helpful advice: diet and exercise.
3 words.
Yeah, the dumb fat character is smarter than Sonic somehow. Oh, believe me, this won't be the first time Sonic will act like an idiot in the game. After Sonic defeats the fat guy, Eggman keeps on controlling the monsters like it's nothing. Sonic, instead of listening to Tails, he goes running off and...
I think that thing in Eggman's hand
Gone!
Home run!
Eggman's shell is gone.
Tails, you know how impulsive Sonic acts. Why didn't you try to hold him down or something? This one is on you. It's mostly on Sonic, don't get me wrong, but Tails should have held him down as well. And what happens now that Sonic kicked that shell off of Eggman's hands? Sonic freaking sucks, man.
Oh, you think?
After Sonic and the others escape, they go to the beach world. As much as I hate to admit it, especially considering Mike Pollock is such an asshole, but Eggman's kind of the best character in the story. For how badly they got most of the characters, and the villains being so ass, they somehow managed to make Eggman kind of entertaining, giving him the best dialogue in the game.
I hope the Zeti eat you alive, you meddling hedgehog.
Okay.
Remember when Eggman built a machine that was sucking the life and energy of the world? Not the Minecraft trees! Sonic finally meets Wish.com Master Shifu and faces off against him. After that, Eggman explains to the viewer, characters, that the machine is sucking everything off and not in a good way. Sonic, of course, wanted to smash that, even though it's a terrible idea.
And you just want to go smash it, don't you?
Well, yeah. What? It's what I do.
Oh, and you're asking so nice.
Good one, buddy.
Thanks.
That was supposed to be a joke?
I don't want to take a long shower by the time we're done.
Sonic showers? Okay, we finally made it to one of the most controversial moments in the 2010s. After Tail fixes Cubot, Tails and Eggman argue for a bit, and suddenly...
Tails, we need Eggman to shut down his machine.
And you don't trust me to do it.
What? Huh? When did Sonic ever say that? It would be one thing if Sonic was dismissing of Tails throughout the whole story, but he never, ever does that in the game once! Sure, he didn't listen when Tails tried to warn him about the shell, but that's about it. After that, he's always been listening, doing his job. Why the hell is Tails suddenly acting like this? What is this dialogue? Why does this story suck?
Actually, nothing bites more than having to listen to this dreadful conversation.
Eggman is just like me, for real. After that, we see the sexy character about to go and face Sonic. When we finish the beach world, we go to the snow world.
That was cool. Pun entirely intended.
After such a terrible pun, Eggman absolutely steals the next scene where he threatened to commit mass genocide to the Deadly Six. Ain't that epic?
I will burn your world, you rebellious scum! I will destroy everything you love and make you watch! As long as I can still strangle a Zeti, my hands are fine.
Holy shit, they did it. A great scene. After that, Sonic goes off to fight Sexy Lady.
What I meant to say is, I'm so sorry that you have nothing more important to do in life.
After Sonic defeats the Sexy Lady, we get a cute interaction between Orbot and Cubot. Out of nowhere, Eggman sacrificed himself to save Tails.
And you? What were you thinking, Tails? You could have gotten yourself killed.
Bro, he was ambushed, and you weren't fast enough. Speaking of, we leave the snow world and go to the forest world. Sonic goes to open up a capsule, but Tails sacrificed himself to save Sonic. And here we have the greatest moment in Sonic history.
I'm supposed to be the fastest, but I was too slow to save my buddy.
Now Sonic is going to fight the Emo Sanny. And Sonic just let him walk off like that after calling him a loser? See, if that was me, I would have ripped his skull out! The Deadly Sex see Tails, and for some reason, he's posing like a French girl. I hate this game. Meanwhile, the machine keeps on sucking up the world. And so, Amy, Knuckles, and everyone are dead. Of course, the Deadly Six are actually pretty dumb. Tails managed to grab a toothpick and just does his job. After all that, we go to the lava world. I don't know if you noticed, but every world I listed sounds exactly like a new Super Mario Bros. Game. Well, that's because this game, of all things it could have borrowed from Mario, it was the themes of the worlds, making Sonic Lost World not having an identity. But we'll discuss that later. Now we get to the saddest moment in the history of forever. Sonic is about to fall and Eggman saves him, and so Eggman falls to his death. No more Eggman. Ever. I'm sure. Now we see Sonic all alone because everyone around him died, and these writers really think they can write drama.
Oh, I'm getting tired of you guys.
Yeah, me too, Sonic. Suddenly we see Tails Robot! Finally, we'll get a Tails boss fight after getting robbed in colors and... Anyway, after Sonic defeats the Cetis, Eggman is revealed to be alive! His ultimate weapon is a Nega Mother Wisp-esque boss fight. This is why you suck, Eggman.
You know you never needed Eggman, right? I could have turned this thing off myself.
Sorry about that, Tails. I'll never doubt you again.
What are you talking about? You never doubted him! There has been many moments in the series where you needed Eggman's help, and this was one of these moments. You never once doubted Tails. You never once said you never needed him. Never said you trusted Eggman more. Why does this story suck? After that, Eggman escapes, but his jetpack doesn't work and Eggman dies. Tails does his work, and the life and energy for the world goes back. The Minecraft trees are back. Sonic comes back to everyone. And what does he do after saving the world, or possibly even the universe? He takes a nap. And then the camera pans up. And they do something, I guess. Leave it to your imagination, I don't care. Post-credit scene and Eggman is still alive. And what's his epic payoff? He has half of his mustache. Fuck! Jesus Christ, is this story bad? If it isn't the villains just being one big stereotype, or the dialogue being genuinely terrible, or Sonic being really out of character, this leaves us with one of, if not the worst story for a Sonic game. And I mean that! In every Sonic game, there's at least something that's kind of enjoyable. Like in 06, Shadow is kind of enjoyable. Shadow 05! It was so funny for how hard it tried. Colors had no copyright law in the universe, and Generations had... Yeah, God, why am I even talking about this story? Can we move on to something else like Mania? No? Fine. Okay. This game is so weird to talk about, man. Sonic Lost World came right after Sonic Generations, which had the boost. And since there's no boost in this game, what does it offer? For starters, Sonic Lost World has a run button.
What?
Yep, a run button. I don't know what they were thinking when they decided to add a run button to this game. Almost like it tried to copy Mario or something. But at the end of the day, I don't complain too much since it becomes second nature. Also new to this game is the drop dash. Yep, Sonic Mania wasn't the game where the drop dash debuted. It was this one. That is definitely one of the sentences of all time. Sonic also brings back the double jump from Sonic Colors. And guess what? It's actually fine. When you're trying to speedrun through the levels, it can be kind of fun, I guess, but other times, it pretty much kills you off. Thanks, game. Also back is the homing attack, but this time, it's a little different. Usually, you would homing on one enemy, and bam, that's it. Not here though. You can target more than one enemy and skadoosh. You got him. Not gonna lie, I wish they bring back this specific version of the spin dash. Lord knows Shadow Generations could have used that. Also new to Sonic's moveset is the kick attack. It's used to take down bigger bad guys. I don't really use this a lot, if at all, unless I really need to do it. And even then, it's not a guarantee that it will work. I don't know if it's just me, but instead it charged up the homing attack. And we can use that to segue into charging the homing attack. This makes every boss fight in the game a cakewalk, and honestly, more pathetic than it needs to be. When it comes to all of the new mechanics, the game really doesn't do a good job explaining how these things work. Oh, speaking of mechanics, the parkour system. I'm honestly pretty mixed here. The parkour is something I can enjoy at times. In 3D, whenever I'm running on a wall, it can be kind of fun. Just be careful not to overshot it. But remember when I said I can enjoy it at times? Well, that's because in 2D, it controls like ass! Sometimes, yeah, it can be cool when you're getting shortcuts, but for the most part, I'm fighting against the parkour itself. Like imagine you're trying not to die or get squished and suddenly you cling to a wall and die. Thanks, game! Here's something I will compliment the game though. I like that the game lets you experiment and let you use the game mechanics as you please. The bad thing? Knowing how to use them in the first place. Yeah, sure, there's the tutorials, but they're massive pace breakers, and that's the last thing I need in a Sonic game. I've talked about the game adding new game mechanics, but it also brought back some familiar faces. The Wisp! Yay! This is the moment where I ask myself, why? Why are they here? Why aren't they in capsules again? It makes sense to have them in Generations with the whole going back in time, but here it just doesn't! Before I talk about the ugly side from this game and why I don't like it that much, let me say some positives. To no one's surprise, the music is good. Like, of course it is. But honestly, I feel like it's kind of underrated. While I don't like the Deadly Six, yes, I finally said it right, I think the boss theme for them is honestly pretty neato. Sea Bottom Sake is one of, if not the most underrated piece of music I've ever heard in a Sonic game. That piano piece makes me see stars. Some level themes are great. Some of the ones I particularly really like are Windy Hills Zone 2, Honeycomb Highway, Frozen Factory Zone 1 is also pretty good. The Random Casino level, which has nothing to do with snow, and oh, of course, the map theme, and the final showdown with Eggman. The boss may be mid, but the track is honestly pretty good. I'm usually not a graphics whore, but I like the graphics in this game. This is gotta be one of the prettiest Sonic games to look at. I forgot about this, but you can also get Super Sonic in this game. Same thing as in Colors. You only get the emeralds by collecting all the red rings, which I will get into! Oh boy, will I get into it! Is Super Sonic worth it? In my opinion, no, not really. He's pretty much just okay, which honestly kinda sucks, but hey, at least it's better than in Sonic Forces where he's DLC! However, why don't we discuss the ugly side of this game? And believe me, this is what makes it what it is. And that's the lack of focus and level design. Man, is Sonic Lost World one of the weirdest games in the series? There's traditional levels, which are the best ones, obviously. You get to decide which path to go. You get to experiment with the gameplay, and you can speedrun through it. Before you put words in my mouth, no, this is nowhere near as good as the adventure games. So don't even try, bucko. I know your type. Then there's other times where the game throws you a curve and does something completely different. Like suddenly, you're guiding fruit to keep the level going. And holy crap, we're playing Mario Sunshine! There's times where you play pinball, other times you become a giant ball of snow, or the game suddenly becomes Sonic 06 and has max speed section, or suddenly decides to become Donkey Kong Country and have the hardest level in the game! Maybe even the series! You know what doesn't help? The red rings. Yep, they come back from Sonic Generations. Although some can be pretty easy to collect, some of them are complete bullshit! And these controls, they are not built with this level design in mind! Out of all the 3D Sonic games that also has 2D, it feels the worst here! Yeah, I'm saying Sonic Forces is better than Lost World and something! Sonic Lost World is a complicated game. It's the one Sonic game where I feel like Sonic Team was just throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. And for the most part, almost nothing sticks. The game is all over the place. with its level design, with the gameplay, with the aesthetics. Maybe you've noticed how I also mentioned a lot of, quite frankly, better games. That's because I'd rather be playing those! I'm not calling Sonic Lost World bad by any means. It got some good stuff sprinkled through the game, but the game being very similar to Mario in a lot of areas makes me feel like this could have been the Mario Galaxy games if they didn't have an identity. And that's what I can say about Sonic Lost World. It doesn't have an identity. I really want to like this game. I really do. Almost desperately. But with how aimless it is, and without an identity to call its own, and you know what's the worst part? This game isn't broken like 06, it has decent controls unlike games like Secret Rings, but because they decided to just experiment with many types of gameplay, and the level design being all over the place, I can't in good conscience say the game is good. At best, Sonic Lost World is decent. At worst, it's a mediocre Sonic game. This was a huge step back for Sonic after generations, and we had a good run, man. But the game that followed it, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, almost killed the franchise 8 years later after 06 came out. But that isn't a mainline Sonic game, so I won't talk about it for this marathon. Sorry, Sonic Lost World, but you're getting a 5 out of 10. I'm Shonk the Honk, and I'll see you next time when I talk about a good Sonic game this time around. Sonic Mania! Woo! Yeah, baby! Next time on Shonk the Honk, Classic Sonic is back, and he's not alone. What is this ruby thing that teleports us to the past? Wait, Green Hill again? Darn. Fang! Next time on the Sonic Marathon, Sonic Mania, the best game of the 2010s. Ha! Be sure not to miss it!